This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this New Year's Eve. Well, maybe your last errand of 2024 was filling up your gas tank. We'll bring you more on how Winnipeggers prepared for New Year's coming up a little bit later in the show. But first, the CBC's Mike Arsenault has more on the end of the province's gas tax holiday.
A lineup of cars spilled out of 204 Fuel's gas station and down Waverly Street Tuesday morning. People at the pump are looking to fill their tank before the price of gas goes up January 1st. Ramesh Amand isn't thrilled about the end of the gas tax holiday. He's a courier who drives for a living.
It impacts my bottom line, right? I mean, the more I use fuel, the less I take home. So, very simple math.
Bob Young agrees.
This was $1.11 yesterday, and now it's $1.24.9.
It's going to go up again tomorrow.
And then it's going to go up again tomorrow. So instead of getting 12.5 cents, we're getting 25, 30 cents.
Premier Wab Kinew said last week the provincial fuel tax would return on January 1st at a rate of 12.5 cents per litre. Young says he understands the province needs the money.
But they got to stop hitting everybody where it hurts. And that's all they've been doing. And it just seems unfair.
One of Premier Wab Kinew's campaign promises was to cut the PST fuel tax, a promise that was extended a full year. But the year is over, and the province says it needs that fuel tax revenue to fund provincial programs.
Just enjoying the low prices right now. It's going to go up tomorrow, right?
The province says a 12.5% gas tax will provide them with an additional $304 million in revenue in 2025. But that doesn't provide much comfort for Young.
We're out here as the people work, and we're the ones keeping everything going. And yet they keep hitting us harder and harder, so they're getting more of our money and we're getting less of it.
Prior to the gas tax holiday, the provincial gas tax was set at 14%. Premier Kinew has said that he won't let it get that high again. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The tax on gasoline is not the only fiscal mechanism on the move in 2025. There are several federal, provincial, and city taxes and fees that are slated to change with the calendars as well. The CBC's Bartley Kivas joins me in studio to talk taxes. What better time to talk taxes than New Year's Eve, of course, Bartley. So break it all down for us. What other taxes are changing?
Well, let's start with the good news. And it's good news for almost everyone who makes at least 16 grand a year. Your federal and provincial income tax brackets are shifting higher, and that means you're likely to pay lower income tax rates on a little more of your income in 2025. That works out to a few more dollars in your pocket just to keep pace with inflation.
All right, so maybe a little bit of good news for some, Bartley. What's the bad news?
Bad news starts off big time property taxes. Increases are coming to property taxes, and you're going to see this right away if you own a home, and Thursday, in fact, if you live in Winnipeg and make a monthly property tax payment. Those monthly payments are on the rise for up to 4 different reasons. And the first is you were undercharged during the last half of 2024 because of a change to the provincial education tax credit. Now that's about to normalize, which means at least a 50% bump for almost everyone. Now, the second reason is you're about to pay more provincial education tax if you own a more valuable home, and that's because the province got rid of its 50% tax rebate and replaced it with a flat $1,500 credit. Now, on top of this, provincial and municipal property taxes are going up, and these increases are going to affect all property owners. And finally, Winnipeg just had a citywide property reassessment, and this will increase taxes even more for owners of homes in areas of the city where property values increased faster than values increased in other Winnipeg neighbourhoods.
All right, so what else is going up, Bartley?
Okay, a lot more simply, transit fares. Winnipeg transit fares are going up 10 cents a ride tomorrow. Your annual fee for garbage and recycling collection in Winnipeg is going up $13 for all of next year, up to $93. Water and sewer rates are going up, and if the federal Liberal government survives into the spring, the carbon tax will rise, and that will mean 3 more cents a litre of gas tax on April Fool's Day.
All right, CBC's Bartley Kivas in studio tonight. Thanks for breaking it down for us, Bartley.
No problem.
Winnipeg police are investigating another spate of animal cruelty reports. At least 6 cats have been found dead in a remote area of West Winnipeg near the perimeter. Police say the animals were found on 3 separate occasions this month.
Some of these cats were located just laying on the path, whereas additional cats were located already deceased and inside of like a recyclable shopping type of bag.
Police say evidence showed the cats were abused. Investigators are trying to determine if these latest incidents are related to similar discoveries of dead cats in Point Douglas in September. Family and friends are remembering the life of a Cree man who died after being found injured in Winnipeg's Maginot neighbourhood. 50-year-old Byron Frederick Moose was found critically injured early Friday morning in the 900 block of Dugas Street. He later died in hospital. His family remembered him at a vigil today as an uncle, brother, son, and nephew who was known as Iron Byron.
Everything was always good for my brother. He loved everybody, his friends, his band, the love of his music that will go on, and how much he loved everybody.
Police are asking for tips or video surveillance from the area. So far, no arrests have been made. Well, with the start of a new year, some Manitobans have decided to try and embrace the no-buy, low-buy trend that's taking hold on social media. But one finance expert says he isn't so sure it's here to stay. The CBC's Felicia Adam reports.
This is like a little gift from someone, and my husband just found a couple things.
Alyssa Altamar is trying to spend less in 2025, so she's shopping secondhand. She's been thrifty for as long as she can remember.
I would love to be a little more environmentally conscious and not buy brand new clothes all the time.
In the new year, she wants to try a new trend.
No buy versus low buy.
On social media, the phrase no buy, low buy is gaining a following. The trend encourages people to rethink their spending habits, to either not buy or buy on a budget.
We were actually just at Winners before we came here, and I put a sweater back because I was like, you know what, I don't need this, and I have other shirts.
My couch is from Facebook Marketplace. My table is from Goodwill on Princess Street.
Teddy Gilmartin is an avid thrifter. This year alone, she's gone to over 50 thrift stores in Manitoba, documenting her journey on TikTok.
I kind of did my big buy year, and now I think it's time to dial it back and enjoy what I already have. And this is a gift from my grandma.
This year, she's aiming to do the trend, but says for her, it's not about setting rules, but being intentional.
Ensuring that what you're purchasing, you actually are going to use and not just have sitting around or eventually gets thrown out.
Suyik Ao is a professor at the University of Manitoba. He thinks the trend might not last well into the new year.
And I think this is trying to get people to spend more wisely in the new year. But like many resolutions, it's about trying to make sure that we actually follow through.
Ao says if people want to save money in the new year, creating a budget is the first step. He says it's the small things that count, not buying a cup of coffee every day or skipping out on paid subscriptions will create more savings in the long run. Felicia Adam, CBC News, Winnipeg.
All right, with that, let's have a look at our weather forecast, and you might need some warmer winter clothes as we kick off 2025. Let's start with a look at your New Year's forecast. If you're heading out to do any celebrating, well, we're looking at temperatures around -10 in Winnipeg tonight. A slight chance we could see a few more flurries, but what will get you is that gusty northwest wind, 20 gusting to 40 this evening. Into New Year's Day, we're looking at a high of -8 in Winnipeg, a mostly cloudy sky. Again, maybe some peaks of sunshine. I know we did see a little bit of sun in parts of southern Manitoba. I saw a couple peaks of it here in Winnipeg earlier today. Temperatures look like this through the afternoon. Some of these temperatures on the board here, -4s for Winnipeg, Steinbach, Portage. Some of these were actually hit early this morning. Since then, we've fallen a bit through the afternoon. We're around -7 this afternoon in Winnipeg. -7s this afternoon through Brandon, Dauphin, -4 in Thompson this afternoon, where we have seen a little bit of light snow throughout the day today. We are starting to see a little bit of breaks in that cloud cover, so some clear breaks out there. But yes, still some flurry activity, particularly through the Interlake. Expect some light flurries and some scattered flurries as we get through the evening hours tonight. Otherwise, predominantly cloudy as we head into New Year's and into the new year tomorrow. We're starting on a cloudy note. Again, peaks of sunshine as we get through the day tomorrow. We don't start to see a little bit more clearing until we get into the day on Thursday. So Thursday starts mostly cloudy, then we get some clearing as we head into the afternoon and evening, and that will lead to colder conditions and some sunnier conditions as we head later into the week. The winds have been a bit strong today. As we get into Wednesday, as we get into New Year, we'll start to see that backing off a bit. More like 15 gusting to 30 out of the west as we get through the evening into the overnight period tonight. Wednesday, through the later part of Wednesday, up to about 30 for gusts. Tonight in Winnipeg, minus 12, also minus 12 in Gimli through northwestern Ontario as well, with some scattered flurries. Minus 18 in Brandon overnight, up to minus 16 through the day tomorrow. Minus 8 in Winnipeg tomorrow afternoon. Optimistically, might only get to about minus 10 in some of the open areas. Minus 11 in Kenora and minus 12 in Thompson. I'll have your 7-day forecast and your dog walking forecast still ahead. Also still to come tonight, as we look at our city's skyline heading to break, we will take a look at how Winnipeggers are preparing to ring in the year 2025. More on the preparations when we come back. Stay with us. Well, with the new year comes new rules governing the sales of machetes and other long blade weapons in Manitoba. As of today, retailers are required to keep the items stored in a way so shoppers can't access them without assistance. Businesses are also required to sell only to adults with photo identification and to keep records of their sales for 2 years. There are several exemptions to the law, including hedge trimmers, pruning shears, and any type of saw. The government passed a law earlier this year following a series of violent attacks in Winnipeg involving machetes and knives.
Tables are set, the decorations in place, and DJs are doing testing. It's time to say goodbye to 2024 and look forward to 2025. Sorrento's at the Caboto Centre is hosting the annual New Year's Eve Black Tie Gala.
Yeah, we're doing Nona's homemade cavatelli tonight too.
Carly Lomonaco Norris, general manager of the events team, says this is their 6th year for the New Year's party.
We have a photo booth. We have a wonderful live band, Fantastici, Franco Bruni with the Fantastici. They're also Cheers to the 90s. So they do a little mix of Italian and 80s, 90s music.
Norris says the guests will be able to enjoy a 7-course Italian meal with music, a live dance floor, and espresso cart.
Got our homemade focaccia, and great, wonderful late night buffet. So it's honestly every step of the way the guests will have something to enjoy and experience.
You can see the same celebratory setting at the Punjab Cultural Centre too. The centre is hosting their first family celebration for the South Asian community. The organizer Achal Khanna is excited for their first New Year's event.
We wanted families, young kids to come down and enjoy and have a good time and welcome New Year 2025.
In addition to big parties, a lot of community centres are organising fireworks displays.
Well, I think it initially started with the year that the Forks stopped doing their fireworks show. And it kind of left a void and, a little bit of a vacuum. And it's really nice to see the community pick up the slack in that regard and, step up and do these kind of events for the community.
The fireworks are spread out at community centres across the city. Most of them run between 6 and 9 at night. Zabina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
That was CBC's Zabina Ahmed on some of the preparations in Winnipeg ahead of the New Year's celebrations taking place. Well, maybe your New Year's Day involves a little bit of skating. Well, the first section of the Nestawaya River Trail is now open for the season. The Port Rink at the Forks is now ready for skating. Of course, there may be nothing more Canadian than skating on a frozen pond or river, but as the CBC's Bartley Kivas reports, skating outdoors on a body of water is no longer a given on the prairies and in central Canada.
A snow-clearing machine rumbles along the Assiniboine River at the Forks in Winnipeg. Workers are trying to get the river ice ready for skating on New Year's Day. Skating on the rivers all winter is no longer a given, not even in Winnipeg. Last season, the trail was only open for 9 days.
So much of our identity is tied into the winter and it being cold.
Dave Pankow is responsible for operations at the Forks. He says his crews have learned to be more nimble when it comes to building the skating trail.
The days that we can get out on the ice, we have to be able to react to that quickly. And then when we have to get off quick, we have to be able to do that also.
This is not just an issue in Manitoba. In Ottawa, the Rideau Canal didn't open for skating at all in 2023, and the National Capital Commission is using lighter equipment to get on the canal earlier as a means of dealing with climate change. And in the Ontario town of Caledon, northwest of Toronto, a small body of water called Palgrave Pond isn't open for skating at all anymore. Ken Hunt maintained trails on this pond for decades before he was told earlier this month no one's allowed on anymore.
They were saying the ice was unsafe and nobody's checking the ice, this and that. Well, I said, I'm sorry, I've been doing this for 22 years.
Back at the Forks in Winnipeg, kids are skating on a rink up on dry land. On the river down below, the ice is thick enough to support people and machines. Dave Pankow says he couldn't imagine a Canada without outdoor skating.
It's just so ingrained in our psyche here.
Dave Phillips, a federal climatologist, says Canada has lost about 3 weeks of ice-making weather over the past 7 decades. Bartley Kivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, let's rewind for a moment and take you back 25 years. In the lead up to New Year's in 2000, there was a lot of concern maybe a bit of tension, and probably a bit of curiosity too, for one reason. Y2K. What was going to happen when the year flipped from 1999 to 2000? Would the world's power systems fail? Would the banks lose all of your money? How would electronics handle this change? I was only a young child at the time this happened, but there were a lot of preparations ahead of the new year. A new provincial command center was set up specifically for this. People were warned not to withdraw all of their cash, and there was a worry and concern about what happens if there were to be a big power surge as the new year came in. Have a look at this story that aired December 30th of 1999.
It's working now, but what happens if the Y2K bug hits the hydro system and the power goes out? When it comes back on, there could be a surge, and that could damage electronics. And then there's the heat. What happens if it goes off and the pipes freeze and burst? Will your insurance cover the damage?
I have no idea, but I know I paid my insurance just a couple of days ago. So Y2K stuff, they didn't say anything. I know I'm protected for fire and burglaries and that sort of stuff.
Well, I guess it's something you should have looked at, I guess, for coverage. I don't think most people would know that. So I'm not too worried, though, about it. I know a lot about Y2K, and it doesn't concern me.
But you might want to check your policy.
Most insurance companies never, ever intended to cover Y2K in the first place. There's never been a premium charge for it. It's something that we all knew was coming and that we're all supposed to prepare for.
The Insurance Bureau of Canada says most policies have Y2K clauses. If your pipes freeze, insurance may cover the resulting water damage, but it won't cover the cost of repairing the pipes. And as for electronics, insurance will cover fire damage if there's a power surge, but it won't cover the cost of repairing or replacing items. Insurance generally only covers unforeseeable events like storms, but most people knew ahead of time Y2K could cause problems.
There's always that small chance that something might happen that's beyond everybody's expectations.
So just in case something does happen, the Insurance Bureau is suggesting that before midnight on New Year's Eve, you should unplug some of your electronics and appliances that you either aren't using or aren't considered essential. And also, insurance brokers are on standby just in case something does happen. Melanie Verhaeg, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Couple things to point out. Spoiler alert, none of that happened. For the most part, everything functioned normally on January 1st of 2000. The next hurdle, though, was the leap day at the end of February of that year, and if computer systems of the day would recognize the date, February 29th of 2000, or if maybe that was a little bit confusing. And the reporter in that piece is now our managing editor here at CBC Manitoba.
Here we go! All right!
Let's fast forward to this year. This is how Bangkok ushered in 2025. This is a look at Tokyo here. Thousands gathering for pyrotechnics. Taiwan brought in the year of the snake according to the Chinese zodiac. Here are some scenes of the famous harbor in Sydney, and of course we'll stop by Times Square in New York, where they're testing the lights on the crystal ball ahead of tonight's big show. And here is a winter shot on the legislature grounds back here in Winnipeg. One last check on our forecast as we head into the new year is coming up after the break. Get ready for a cold start to 2025. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Before we go tonight, here are a few things to keep in mind as we ring in the new year. Winnipeg Transit is free this evening. The last bus will leave downtown around 1:30 in the morning. In Brandon, transit is free until 3 a.m. citywide. Both cities have no garbage collection on Wednesday. In Winnipeg, it's pushed back a day. In Brandon, Wednesday's collection takes place on Saturday. Join CBC for a live countdown of 2025 tonight. Adrian Arsenault and Ian Hannamansing check in on New Year's Eve celebrations right across the country, including in Winnipeg and from Assisipi Ski Resort. That should be fun. Coverage starts at 7 o'clock on CBC News Manitoba. Our streaming channel will join that program at 9 p.m. on CBC Television. All right, one last dog walking forecast for 2024, and tonight it's Andy and Daryl enjoying a walk outside. Thanks, Jan, for sending this picture in. You can send yours to talkback@cbc.ca. Getting up to -8 tomorrow. Winds start to back off as we get through the day tomorrow. -12 by the evening, but we keep the clouds. We get a bit of clearing into Thursday, and then temperatures really fall as we get into the weekend. Highs of -20 for Saturday, Sunday, -21 on the way for Monday. And that, my friends, is our program for this New Year's Eve, our final show of 2024. From Brittany, myself, and our entire crew here at CBC Manitoba, thank you so much for watching and allowing us to share the stories of our province over this entire year. It was another year where we shared some very happy and joyous moments together with, of course, some not so great stuff, the tragedies, the Manitobans that we lost over the last year. But as we always do, we got through it together here, and we'll do the same in 2025. I thought I'd leave you tonight with a look at some of the faces we've seen this year, the places, the moments, and the culture of our wonderful province. Thank you so much for watching, for choosing CBC. We are taking tomorrow off, but we're back for a full hour of news at 6 on Thursday. Happy New Year. We'll see you again in 2025. Have a great night.